You know, it wasn't too terribly long ago when I remember listening to a group of property managers talk about this idea of can you really automate your showing process all the way to the point where you don't have to go to the showing, where you actually give a key to a tenant, or you give a code to an applicant and they go into a property and view it. Now, I thought that's the craziest thing I've ever heard of. No way will we ever do something like that. The risks are too great for us to ever try it. Well, fast forward to today, we've been doing exactly that for about 1.5 years straight now, and the results have been fabulous for us. So it's not a right or wrong, it's a business decision, but let me explain some of the benefits, some of the risks of doing something like this, of showing vacant properties to a prospect without you physically going there and doing the showing yourself. Now, here's a couple benefits, and they're rather obvious, aren't they? But number one, and the biggest benefit, is allows the prospect to see the property when they want to. Because when do they want to see it? They want to see it at 8 o'clock in the morning, or 6 o'clock at night, or on their lunch hour. They want to see it at their convenience. Tenants need their convenience. And what our job is to get leasing done is to make it an easy leasing experience for the tenant. So it does make it very, very easy for the tenant when you're able to get them access into a property when they want to, not when your schedule allows. The second obvious benefit is it saves you a ton of time as a property manager from having to physically drive around and show properties. Now, we manage a lot of properties, so we have leasing people, and that's all they do. That's their only job. If we were not doing this, we would have to hire at least one more, probably 2 more full-time leasing people just to drive around to properties to show the properties. How much is your time worth? Even if you're the one doing showings on these properties, it can easily be 30 minutes, 60 minutes to get in your car, drive to a property, wait for the prospect to show up. Sometimes they don't show up, or they call and they're showing up late. By the time you get back to your office, you've killed an hour or 2 or more. This keeps that from happening. The biggest benefit, however, is this. See, this is what really keeps me up at night, the safety of my showing agent. It's a scary world that we live in out there. The idea of sending a showing agent unaccompanied into a big home with somebody that we don't really know anything about is a big risk for liability as it comes to companies today. So doing this completely removes that risk. I don't have to worry about my showing agent being in any type of danger because they're not the ones physically showing the property. You say, well, Mark, that's obvious. We get those things. But what about the risks? I mean, there are obvious risks to doing this, and there certainly are. Here's a couple. Number one, it'll hurt the customer experience. You have to be physically at the property to point out the features, the benefits. You got to sell the home, right? No, we found that you don't. Your customer service experience can actually be augmented with this. You can improve the way your customer experience works through doing it this way. It's not a decline in the customer service experience. It improves the process overall. Now, we're old school. We've been doing this a long time. So we understand that idea of you have to be at the property, but you can do this in such a way that you don't have to be and it still works. Second risk is this. Well, Mark, obviously things will get stolen, right? People are going to walk into the property and they're going to walk out of the property with all the appliances and, in some states like Colorado, the pipes. I mean, that's just what they do, right? That really doesn't happen. See, we still pre-screen people on the front end to ensure that whoever's coming into the home, we have some basic information on them. For example, we have a copy of their driver's license. Now, someone will say, well, can't they just give you a fake driver's license and still get access to the home? To which I reply, yes, they could, but let's be honest. If someone's going to break into a home, they're going to break into a home. They're not going to give me a fake driver's license first. They're going to go and break a hole in the glass, reach through, open the door, and go steal what they want to steal. They're not going to walk through our automated pre-screening process to get access to a property only to go in and steal the information or steal the property that way. They're going to break in. But it just doesn't happen. But let's pretend it does. Let's pretend that one time per year, somebody breaks into a home and they take all the appliances. From my perspective, even if that happened, the benefits of no risk, the time factor, and the money I save by not having to hire a full-time leasing person to drive around and show properties far outweighs the cost of replacing a few appliances if we had to do it. But we've never had to do it. So here's what our process looks like, because there are companies that will completely automate this for you, where an applicant goes online, they answer a few questions, a code pops up, they drive to the property, and you as a PM, you don't know anything happened. I don't like that. We're a little bit too much controlling to let something like that happen. So we still want control over the process. So an applicant's going to call into our office. We're going to have a conversation with them over the phone. And if they're interested in viewing the property, we're going to ask them some pre-qualifying questions. If we determine they meet our pre-qualification questions, at that point in time, we'll ask them when they want to view the property. They'll say tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And our response is, hey, we absolutely want to get you in there at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Unfortunately, that time doesn't work for my schedule exactly tomorrow. However, I still want to get you in there. So here's what we'll do. Do you have a copy of your driver's license and a phone handy? Of course they do. Okay, all I need you to do is snap a picture of your driver's license, text that to me so I can confirm your identity. Then when you get to the property tomorrow at 2 o'clock, you call this number and I will talk to you and I will give you an access code that will work only for that time to go into the property. Show yourself around. As you're leaving the property, you'll call me back up. I'll answer any questions you have. How does that sound? Applicants love it. They really, really do love it. And so we are kind of walking them through that process. We're talking to them as they enter the property. We're talking to them as they exit the property. Ensure the lights are turned off. Ensure all the precautions are there. If we need to go out and show the property physically, we'll still do that. But this has reduced the number of showings we have to do on a regular basis. So we're renting much, much faster than we've ever rented before by doing this. Now we're still showing properties, but the majority of our properties are through this agentless showing process. Now, you don't have to do this, but let me tell you, this is what the future of real estate looks like. I read an article just a couple days ago in the Wall Street Journal, and this was the headline of the article. It said this: why your next real estate deal might involve a robot. Now this was talking about sales agents not showing up for a showing on a sales call, but actually doing it electronic and having a robot there. This was the sub-headline of the ad. It said, a new crop of companies is betting that robots will upend how properties are sold and rented. And then it tells the story of this woman. Right before Laura Fracono went to look at a 3-bedroom apartment for rent in Santa Clara, California, she got a surprising text message from the property manager. They said a robot would meet me at the property. I thought, a robot? Said Mrs. Franco, 31, an event planner and bartender. When she arrived at the listing, a text message provided her with a code she used to let herself in. Then a long-necked white robot on wheels with a screen that looks like a small table rolled up to face her. The face and the voice was of Rabina, a real estate agent that greeted Mrs. Franco from the screen and told her to follow the robot around as it gave her a tour of the house. I know this is crazy stuff, isn't it? But this is what's going on right now. It was a little weird, said Miss Franco, who signed a deal last week for the apartment. She rented it. It was like she was there, but she wasn't there. That's the quote that the woman said, right? The agent was there, but she wasn't there. And it shows this picture of an individual walking into the home. You can see a robot screen on that. When this takes over in the real estate sales world, which I really think it will, primarily for the idea of protecting agents. I think that's going to be the big thing. When this hits on that, then watch out. The floodgates are going to open up in the property management space, and we'll start doing this on a bigger, grander scale. But think about this if you haven't done this. Now, if you're interested in this idea, here's 2 of our other current videos you may want to follow up on. Video number 21 is 6 questions to ask before showing. Those are some of those pre-qualification questions that we ask before we'll give an applicant access to a property. Number 27, 6 ways property video tours can help you out as well. Now, there's a lot more to be said about this. You have to think through this. There's a lot of questions that come up. You've got to be cautious. In the short amount of time we have here, we can't go deep on this, but this is just one thing to consider as you're looking to improve your business, improve the amount of time that you have, and reduce the vacancy period you have in showing vacant properties.